Welcome back to the ANZ HGC. We are in the business end of this one, already reaching that halfway point in week number 2, and this is the match we ourselves have been looking forward to so very much, gentlemen. Darksided up against Downfall. They started off tonight with a 4-0 track record apiece. Currently, they're at 6-0. So one of these teams, that momentum is going to come to a grinding halt. So definitely, if you are a new viewer to the scene or an old viewer to the scene, you definitely want to see how these teams duke it out on the battlefield. Disconcur, what can you tell us about this new Darksided roster?
Well, man, first off, let's look at the old name. So obviously we've still got Hacky sitting on the list, and we've still got Sashin, two of the old school members. Sashin himself isn't like, to say Sashin is a veteran is wrong. He's like a piece of furniture in the Heroes of the Storm scene. He's just been there since day dot. He's been on all the major teams. He's been overseas more times than I can count on one hand tied behind my back, which means I can't see it at all. I don't know. But that is the old part. Hacky obviously was a almost unheard of last year. Was picked up on the Moops roster that then became Darksided. And voila, he's turned into just a superstar, right? Just a superstar in the hot scene. But let's look at the other one. We got Decepted, we got Doubt, we got Sailor, we got Azog. We have such a mix of high-performing players from other teams from 2017. You could say Darksided is like the cream of the crop of the new blossoming talent in the region. And there's no one on that list that I would not say that about, except for obviously Hacky and Sashin. I don't know, GL, what about Downfall Gaming? They're a new organization to the Heroes of the Storm scene, but there's lots of familiar names on that roster list.
Yeah, we've got names like Konya, we've got Flays, who have been around in the scene for quite a while and have been on those teams that are just outside of that top 4 that we would usually see when it came to the finals. But now they're on Downfall, and just looking at this lineup, it looks pretty damn strong on paper. You've got Shrekker's Love, Konya, Flays, Superfish, and Magic Gnome, names that have popped up here and there over the past couple of years and have proven themselves to be very capable players. Now I have to wait. Now I just have to see how they can go as a team. As we've seen so far, both teams are at 6-0 in these qualifiers. And to be honest, coming into the qualifiers, I was kind of expecting Darksided to fill out the top 3, with Downfall maybe filling in that 4th place. But depending on how this goes, we could even see Downfall make their way into the top 3 or even top 2 or even take the top spot.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, it looks like the lobby is ready to rock and roll. Both teams at a 6-0 score. And the tension in the room, I can feel it, right? The suspense is there. So without any further ado, Disconcur, please take it away and get us through game number 1.
We are going into a Dragonshire, a staple of Heroes of the Storm. Probably one of the best maps ever made and ever will be made for Heroes of the Storm. It's just got everything. It's got a solo lane. It's got a 4-man potential bottom lane. It's got split pressure. It's got monsters. It's got a dragon monster in particular. The Merc camps, the major Merc camp in the bottom lane. Mercenaries in the top. GL, it's just happening. It's everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be a little bit disappointed if this is where their peak is, like right at the start, but you are correct. It is kind of the map that you need to be able to do it all. And you have to be able to coordinate really well as a team because of the way the map objective plays out. And it's also a map that, just like with Infernal Shrines, you're able to work around with quite a lot of different varieties of drafts. But we'll have to wait and see, as per usual, if some of these teams have something special or if we're just going to see more of just the standard. So far, we have the Genji banned away by Darksided, not too out of the realm of possibilities of, well, it's just a standard one. We're just not really a big fan of seeing that Genji around town. But yeah, it does leave potential. We are going to see the ETC ban, so that does leave the Hanzo available for Darksided, and that is going to be snap picked. There's absolutely not a doubt in their mind that is what they wanted.
I really like the ban on the ETC there, right? It opens up that situation where you're going to give Darksided the Hanzo. Let's not give them a high priority tank to go with it. If you're not planning to take ETC because you're going to take maybe the Anubarak, or maybe you're going to pick up you might go a Nubrak and Lucio, right? Really early on, or Greymane Lucio, some combination of that. You don't want to then give the enemy team a free pick into ETC following up. So I really like the ban there. He's a solid tank. But Downfall, these are a team that I really haven't had a chance to really talk to yet about what they like to draft and some preferences. So Greymane still available. Definitely lock that in. Could we just see the Greymane into the Lucio, or the Greymane into
the Uther? There is that potential that is also a very strong combination. There is quite a bit on the table because the ETC ban did come in. It does, as we've seen in the previous drafts, it does leave the other teaming kind of those in two minds. Do we ban away this what is usually banned away, as in the Hanzo, and give up one of the other strong picks, or do we just go for something else and leave more on the table? And that's essentially what they're going with. Pick up the Greymane and Material, two heroes that do synergize quite well, especially as they both want to be diving forward and have a lot of forward momentum. And when you're going into a Hanzo, that's the kind of play you want to have. You want to be moving forward. You want to be getting onto that backline, making his life pretty much a living hell, and make it very hard for him to just sit there and fire away those arrows.
Yeah, put a lot of pressure on there. The Judgment, the Greymane just diving in with a Tyrael Judgment behind. Always a fear for Hanzo, but not when you have an Uther. And Uther just going to throw a nice little, sexy little shield onto you. Feel all glowy and good inside while you continue to rain arrowy death onto the enemy Greymane, and Tyrael is there inside you. But moving on, like a Nubarak picked up, so that's challenging the Lucio pickup that could potentially come out of Downfall. It's like, hey, you pick up the Lucio, well, we're just going to take a Nubarak to borrow again more the reverse Greymane and Tyrael is going to dive one way, well, Nubarak is going to dive the other way, potentially. Yeah. Dahaka banned out. Dahaka's a great hero on this map. They're weakening the CC, like the crowd control options you can get, and a global in both elements by removing Dahaka. The interesting thing, though, is that that's a declaration that they aren't taking Dahaka themselves, because they could have picked it up in the next 2 rounds of hero picks if they wanted to. You're dark-sided. What don't you want to come up against with a Hanzo, Uther, and a Nubarak?
Well, essentially, you just want to take away more of the dive potential. You want to take away things that can easily reach that back line. You want that Hanzo to be much more safe and secure. As you're mentioning, you do have the Divine Shield, but when that's down, you're back to square one, where you still have people potentially diving all over you. So maybe just taking away the Sonya, just that really strong solo laner, which can also flank quite well, is actually going to be the Stukov band. Very interesting. I do believe that Shrekker's Love is very proficient at that support, so wanting to just take him off one of his more favorable supports and moving on to something else is also a very valid strategy.
Well, I mean, and also removing the Stukov. I mean, I'm never keen on a Stukov ban. He does have some great synergy with heroes. But I'm just never. I don't know. I was like, man, there's so much more on the board you could have removed. But I mean, the Stukov behind the Tyrael Judgment, it would lock someone in place, or even Tyrael drop the sanctification, and then the creep from the lurking arm just silencing everyone in the area. So not only is your damage being mitigated as you come out of that, you're then silenced. There's really no good escape plan either. So yeah, I can see some potential play there. I just don't like the Stukov ban, but I can understand it. I understand it. I respect it. I wouldn't do it. But then again, I'm in the savage ranks in Heroes of the Storm, so I shouldn't really talk too much, should I?
Well, we do have the Gul'dan and the Lucio. So you were talking about the Nubarak challenging that Lucio pick, but it doesn't look like it's going to be deterring Downfall too much. They are going to pick it up right away, and the very, very quick picks coming out for the side of Darkside. The Leoric to go onto that solo lane, potentially threaten that backline as well, and the Li Ming just wanting to pretty much make the most of all that damage coming out from the Hanzo to just follow through, get those kills, and get those resets, and start rolling through those team fights. There's a very strong lineup coming out from Darksided.
Oh man, did you actually look at maybe, I know a bit throughout there, do you think of maybe taking a Tychus in this lineup? Taking a Tychus to just deal with the Nubarak and the Leoric? I mean, they
The
aren't
problem-
the highest health pool heroes.
The problem with that is that then they'd be a 3 backline composition. You've got the Greyman, you've got the Gordon, and if you pick up the Tigers, then you are very reliant on Tyrael being that solo frontline. And
Yeah, that's true.
sure, there are compositions where you can play a solo tank Tyrael, but it requires a lot of finesse and team coordination to make it work. And we'll just have to wait and see if they do pick up another DPS. But I do think we'll be seeing a melee ult. And there we go. It is going to be the Malthael. And that is actually going to... we do have someone disconnected. We should be able to get through the draft pretty quickly as we roll through it again. But the Malthael will be able to challenge that Leoric in that solo lane very well. He does quite well into those tankier heroes who are very reliant on their HP pools to stick around in the lane. But that death mark is going to... the Reaper's mark is just going to be able to shred away at that HP and really give Downfall a lot of control in that solo lane.
Yeah, and it also means that, with, let's say, the enemy team, you didn't know they had Leoric or they didn't pick up Leoric. Sonya almost would have been a great pickup there. But because the enemy team has Leoric, that really does limit your action with Sonya. You're seeing they're going, gee, you know what, if we take Sonya, Solid is going to get pretty well challenged in the lane against Leoric, because Leoric can drain a lot of HP from it. We'll take Malfurial. You're 100% right. Malfurial. I don't know what it is, GL. Just Malfurial. Oh my gosh! Can we just make them one hero and just have this obnoxious high HP damage?
I think what you're trying to say there, Disco, is it's a mouthful.
Oh, it is scary. It is 100%.
That's the dad joke. I mean, I was trying to let you have that one. But maybe I'm a dad before my time. Hey.
Skimmy. Everyone is a dad before their time, mate.
Oh no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I've got enough kids in Heroes of the Storm to look after.
Jeez.
No, back onto a serious discussion, boys. Let's keep
it. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I really like the Malthael pick. I think it's great. I think it's going to work really well against the solo lane. Outside of that, I mean, both teams have got really good 4-man rotation squads between the mid lane and the bottom lane, if they tend to sort of go for that play. And I think, I'm just trying to think, like, they could potentially, both teams have really good options to leave one person in the mid lane as well. So FaZe is back in, but now is that GL disappeared?
That's just my camera just deciding to die on me, unfortunately. So I'm still here in voice, but
in spirit.
Yeah.
I'm still sticking around. I'll sort that out for the between games.
Please, we beg of you, Malthael, let us have GL spirit for at least one more game before you take him to the underworld. All right, so we're getting back in. The teams are selecting up Malthael. The good thing is Malthael is the confirmed last pick. It wasn't like some weird AFK disappears.
All right.
Sorry, I just had the cheeky peer and strat there. This is the solo Tyrael tank strat DC. I think it's really good. I'm looking forward to it. It is the Tyrael rework, though, I have to say. So that's going to give a little bit of interesting lane pressure onto the side of Downfall, as the rework does allow Tyrael to take a talent level 1. Is it Justice for All?
Justice for All, the one that allows him to heal himself when he starts doing damage to people?
No, I'm talking about the one where shields, 100% shields.
Yes, the 100% shields, yes. So he can bring some rather significant shields to all of his allies and allow him to essentially be more of a support than what he used to be when it comes to the shields. But also a lot of the other changes, not just with his talents, but just the way his smite works is it just feels so much better to use. There's not that delayed cast time or where you have to actually stop to cast it. It's just much cleaner to use. But yes, a lot of his talents are very, very nice to use. I'm very happy with how the rework, or not the rework, the talent rework did end up. But here we are, we're into the game. It is the Dragon Shire, and on the blue side we have Dark-Sided, we have Deceptive on the Leoric, we have Hacky on Li Ming, Sailor on the Uther, Azog on a Nubarak, and down is on Hanzo.
And over on the red side is FaZe playing as Tyrael. Superfish will be a Mouthfeel. Greymane is being played by Magic Gnome. What is Love? Shrek is Love on the Lucio. And of course, Konya is on Gul'dan. And we have the 5-man presentation session in the mid lane where each team presents themselves and salutes the Australian flag before committing their games. Leoric, of course, rotating up to the top lane with Matthew coming. I like Leoric. I'd like to sit there waiting for Sufferfish to come up through the brush for a cheeky slap and tickle. But, just early on, we're basically going to see each team just sort of trying to out-rotate each other in the mid and bottom lane, trying to get push going on.
Yeah, kind of similar to what we see on, say, Tomb of the Spider Queen, only there isn't the whole mechanic of the gems facilitating a lot of the early play. It's just pushing around, trying to get advantages, trying to maintain control of this central area to give yourself more room to make aggressive plays onto your opponent's side of the map. And to be honest, and now that we do have the mercenary camps, this is one thing we're starting to see much more since we had a lot of the laning changes and the mercenary changes. Is pretty much capturing these mercenaries on spawn is pretty much the way to go, because the amount of pressure they can bring into a lane is fairly powerful, and it looks like Darkside are actually going to start invading onto the side of onto the red side to start potentially getting it, but they just back away.
It's an interesting view of priorities between both teams. Downfall prioritizing the top lane, trying to give as much support to Mouthfeel as possible to capture it by setting up the mercenaries there. But that means in the bottom lane, the more high priority lane, Darkside should be able to win out with a bit more damage on the towers. It looks like a bit of action, maybe? Being bottom and the bot lane and the top lane just both got action at the moment as each team tries to poke into each other. Blue team is now rotating down to the bottom lane to secure it. Greymane walking through the brush goes in. He's actually going to start the Siege Giant camp to sort of fix up the stalemate in the bottom lane. However, Shrek and Love and FaZe have managed to push the blue team out, and they now capped it. Both shrines picked up for the red team, but we're going to see a transfer of ownership just shortly.
Yeah, it's just a bit of trading back and forth of pressure in different parts of the map so far in this game. It's not going to be too much advantage picked up just yet. It's just going to be trading, pretty much trading possession of these altars. But meanwhile, on the top side, Deceptive is taking a lot of damage from Superfish on that Malthael. Is actually going to be forcing out the Wraithwalker. Deceptive has to be very careful in that 1v1. But now, because they do have pretty much complete control of the top side, is forcing Darkside to put a lot of priority onto the bottom side of the map, because if they don't, that will leave up both of the altars in favor of Downfall.
Look, that was a good capture there by Mouthfeel. It really opened up an opportunity for the guys in the bottom lane to do something. They did have Siege Giants, but Downfall just not really doing anything with it. A bit too concerned about a follow-up damage play. Obviously, a Nubarak is powerful. We can dive in there, get a stun. But on someone like Lucio or Eamon Gul'dan, a stun and then a follow-up stun from Uther would spell disaster. So playing very safe, even though they had the Siege Giants. Darkside definitely putting the pressure on at the moment, even though they don't have control in the top lane. Doesn't matter, because the bottom lane, Gio, I can't stress how important the bottom lane is in this match.
Yeah, they are starting to give up some of the pressure in the bottom lane, but that means that Darkside are starting to move a little bit of the power into the middle lane to just prevent any potential capture of that Dragon Knight. As Sailor takes a lot of damage on the bottom side, having to back away, as Doubt also cops a lot of damage from the Downfall DPS. As we do have a lot of trading back and forward, but it looks like Hacky is going to be able to neutralize that Ultra on the bottom side, and it looks like we're just going to go back to that bit of a stalemate as we are getting into the level 7 for both teams. As actually we do have both of the Ultras going in favor of Darkside, but that's not going to last too long. Very quickly it's going to go back over to Downfall, and this is essentially what we're going to be seeing for at least some time until some big advantage is opened up for either team.
All right, so this is a good moment here. Everyone is contending on the mid lane, except for Mouthfeel. He'll stay in the top lane. Nubarak goes in, gets a big double stun onto Shrek's Love and Konya. Konya's in a lot of trouble. Nice little shield comes up from FaZe, keeping everyone alive on his team. Mouthfeel coming in a little bit late, backs out, goes nope, nope, nope. My team is not here to help in this one. Goes back to the top lane. Behind the Siege Giants were picked up before that little onslaught. It's really going to open up the bottom lane right now. Darkside in a great position to start pushing out. Once they take out that tower, it means they can start pressuring the gate into the well. Once the well is gone, you could almost say it's almost an impossible lane for the team of Downfall to win. Azog jumps and throws under the wall, but doesn't capture anyone. Doesn't matter. Siege Giants are still pushing. GL, this is what Darkside want. They're not seriously winning the Dragon Knight, but they're winning the bottom lane, the most important lane in the map.
Exactly. They're just putting so much pressure down here, and as you mentioned, with that fountain down, it makes it so much harder for Downfall to actually contest on the bottom side of the map. And with all this pressure, it isn't allowing Downfall to get anywhere near this altar, so it's essentially just choking out the potential of the map objective from Downfall. So they have to look towards other avenues of getting into the game, and yeah, it's probably going to start looking towards some of those mercenary camps. We did see earlier that Magic Gnome did go for that the night camp earlier to apply a lot of pressure on the top side of the map, and they're doing this again, just making sure that those
GL level
camps
10
are doing a lot of pressure.
Level 10 is fast approaching for Darkside right now. I got a feeling that we are going to see a rapid response to someone once Darkside hits 10. 10 has been popped. Malfew's in the middle lane. Sailor's going in. He's thrown down the Hammer of Judgment. The stun arrow comes out from Hanzo. He's definitely trying to run for his life. He makes it out. Malfew is the god of death. Not you, Darksided. Unfortunately, that did open up, allowing Hanzo to pick up the Dragon Knight. He's now going to put so much pressure onto that mid lane. Behind it, the rest of Darkside have rotated down to the bottom lane to pick up that fortification. The game's opened up. Darkside performing open heart surgery right now on 2 lanes. 2 patients at once. That's how precision-based these doctors are. Doctors of death.
Yeah, and even though they were not able to secure that kill onto the Malthael, as you mentioned, it did open up the Dragon Knight for Darksided, and it is allowing them to just take down so many of these structures. Just the Dragon Knight alone was able to clear out those front towers in the middle lane, and it also allowed the rest of the team to push onto that fort on the bottom side, pick up that extra chunk of experience there, and we're seeing almost a full level lead in favor of Darksided, but it's just been a game of inches here, just not giving up too much on either side, and it's just trying to claw an advantage as we're starting to see it get eked away by Darksided.
GL, I have to ask, is that Australian 6 inches or North American 6 inches?
No comment.
Because I think Darkside are definitely showing that they've got the longer one right now. They've got the level advantage. They've got almost 2 forts down, right? The mid one isn't looking very healthy. Siege Giants being picked up for both teams now, trying to put pressure again back to that bottom lane, allowing them to rotate. This isn't a good situation for Downfall, because they don't actually have mercenaries that they can pick up in the top lane right now.
Yeah, because they picked it up earlier, it is starting to come back to bite them as they do try and get a gank onto Azog, but he is able to burrow out there. But because they have a bit of an inkling that the rest of the Darkside are on the other side of the map taking that camp, it is opening up this side, or this bottom camp to Downfall, so they can take that, and it's going to be a decent pickup for them, because as you mentioned, they do not have that night camp on the top side to work with, but they do manage to pick up one for themselves.
This is a big moment right now. Double mercs in the bottom. Leoric is in top, so they know that they can push this, and they can trade quite effectively here. A bottom fortification ain't a bad trade for the top one. Pressure's going on down now. 1 tower falls. Now the gate. Once they bust in, they've still got a Siege Giant and 1 lonely, but sturdy and dedicated knight to the cause. Nubarak's gone in. He does a Magic Gnome. Left by himself. Giant Hanzo arrow. JL, and there we see the cocoon comes out. It's lockdown Shrekker's love, so there was no barrier, netting themselves a 2nd kill. What could have been Downfall's moment to come back in this game? GL, it turned into their downfall, and even Sufferfish now is falling to the might of Darksided.
It was so close. That sanctification was just a fraction of a second mistimed, and should that have gone down, it more than likely would have allowed that Greymane to stick around in that fight and get a lot of work done, but just being a little bit out of time, it just ends up being, as you mentioned, their downfall, and they lose 3 members, and this is going to be another very quick Dragon Knight pickup for the side of Darkside. Deceptive is going to take a lot of aggression on the top side of the map, but he is going to be okay. He's just going to walk his way out of there in his spooky ghost form. And with so many members on the top side of the map, Darkside is going to put a lot of pressure on the bottom side with the use of this Dragon Knight.
Oh, that's it. They're just opening now, making themselves a nice little lethal victory lane here. FaZe teleports out. Holy... Oh, is that... It is Holy Ground. Never mind, I got confused myself a second. DK pressuring the bottom there. The gate, he destroyed the towers and the gate. No, he does have to back out. A little bit late there. What I'm saying, but Leoric moving down to the mid lane here. Just putting pressure on, getting caught out, but he will be able to race away. Shrek is charging down, got some shots onto him, and Magic Gnome takes him out. A nice little kill there, gives him an advantage going to the next fight, but Azog acting as a little bit of a early warning buffer. Sunfish trying to connect, doesn't connect to anyone just yet. Azog finally caught. He hasn't used the thing. Shrek has been cocooned now. So is it going to be a turnaround? There's DK is still in there, slicing and dicing, hacking. How do you like your fish? Oh, Divine!
He stepped out of the sanctification.
Oh, Gio, he did!
He had the safety area, but he stepped out of it, and that is going to be his demise as he gets taken down. And the Greyman is going to fall as well as he gets locked down by the Entomb. And it was a 4v5 in favor of Downfall, but they were not able to make the most of it. And Darkside just turned it around.
Oh, that was such a... I mean, it was a tough one, right? It was favored, but they still had the level lead, and obviously they had a DK. So, but man, that misplay, miscommunication, or maybe just an accidental step out has cost Downsided heaps here. This is still a lot of pressure now. Darkside should take this keep, be able to quite nicely take it. Actually, backing out. Oh, there are mercenary camps up now, so they can use that to create pressure in the into the bottom lane, rotate up, get the night camps. Not only does it create pressure against Downfall, it's also going to cause them to lose the ability to soften the blow themselves. Actually, sorry, not going. Are they going for?
They want to clear up. They want to finish off that keep. They want to open up that avenue for a potential later push, because once that bottom lane is completely open to the core of Downfall's base, any strong, convincing fight beyond that means that it can just be ending the game in favor of Darkside. They just need, now that is open on the bottom side of the map, they just need one good fight and they can just win the match.
Yeah, that's like, it's always pressure now. Every time a shrine spawns, Darkside has got clear vision on the bottom. They know it's going to be pressuring. They know that Downfall have to rotate to deal with it. I mean, it's basically a free shrine, right? And with the fortification missing in the top now, again, it's a free shrine for Darksided. Downfall need to concentrate so much effort on protecting the channel in the mid lane against DK, while protecting against the catapults in the bottom lane. It's a vicious tug of war that they end up just losing out more often than not when you are put into situations like that. You want to you want to be denying the Dragon Knight, but it's so hard to do when you're having to just play around the map so much as the Dragon's arrow does get used, and they just clean up the Greyman immediately at the very start of the fight. No chance for the defensive ultimates coming out on the side of Downfall. Superfish trying to get some work done. He's doing a lot of work in the Great Horrify. He's going to use the Divine Shield. He's going to get dropped onto the Leoric. They're starting to turn the fight around. It's just... oh, Jesus, that's a lot of damage going down onto the members of Downfall, and that is going to be cleaning up the fight. 3-0. Make that 4, and it is as convincing as you are going to get in favor of Darksided. Is this GG? I would be surprised if it wasn't. That core is definitely going to fall from this. We still have Knights coming in. Oh, sorry, distraction. They had to stop at the well for a quick drink before approaching onto the core. But look at that, the boys hitting. Darksided showing why they're still a number one contender in the region. Haven't come up against any of the 3 big ones just yet, but showing that they're definitely going to be top 5 by the end of this preseason. Yeah,
coming into the season, Darksided as a name, they needed to requalify, not holding on to enough players from the previous season to be able to just auto qualify from last year's endeavor, but they are really putting their name forward as one of the dominant teams in this qualifier, and they want to get back into that Premier Division.
I've got to ask, Gio, right, in that last fight, Hanzo fired out his amazing stun arrow, also known as the Dragon's Arrow. I have a feeling that it actually missed its target, but it hit Lucio on the back line, stunning him, which allowed Greymane to be taken out. There was no follow-up support from Lucio in any way, shape, or form. And you know what? If it was on purpose, and Doubt just is really an elf in real life, he's an elven archer, and he just knows his marks. Or if he's super lucky and he's just able to, Darkseid can just take the advantage of any good situation, good fortune to come their way. Either way, it just really proves their placing amongst these teams. But it was a beautiful match on Dragonshire. Don't know, do we have a Skimmy? Do we have a Skimmy in the room?
Skimmy is always here. I'm always listening and just concur. I mean, what a fantastic game. I was just going to say my major comment or my major summary of that game would have been the fact that most of our games tonight have been done, said, final within about, 10 minutes? We didn't have a first blood until 9 minutes. And once that happened, bang, a triple kill. It seemed to be the common theme for me was this an outclassing. This is a team, like once again, we say the brand, the reputation behind them. They went from a fourth place team at the start of 2017 all the way to BlizzCon at the end of 2017. Yes, the roster's changed, but Hacky's done a great job, obviously, cultivating a squad worthy of representing Darksided still, and proving that they should, in an ideal situation, be the number one seed to reaffirm their position in that Premier League division. So I think if you look at how those team fights went, at least in my opinion, I'm sure you gentlemen want to have your own 2 cents on that as well. It seemed to me this wombo combo they were going for, be it the Horrify and the Tormented Soul, didn't really seem to find its match. As soon as Hacky got that one reset, said that's nice and dandy what you have there. Doesn't really matter if I can dance all over the map and cause problems like this, Hunter.
Yeah, it looked like they almost managed to get it work in that final fight, but because the Greymane had gone down at the very start of it, that was a lot of the damage that just was not going through that fight, and it just didn't really work out in the end. And sure, there was you could look at some of the mistimed sanctifications or play around the sanctification was a little bit off on the side of Downfall. I think that really did kind of shoot themselves in the foot. We saw the first time just being that fraction behind in timing, allowing the Greymane to die, and just not having the synergy necessary to, as you mentioned, use that wombo combo to its most devastating effect. We just never really saw it happen.
Just go.
I was about to say, I think what really distinguished that game was the priority that we sort of saw out from the Downfall on the top lane. And I guess they kind of figured that, Leoric was going to be a bit problematic. Maybe, Supperfish wasn't confident against Leoric or Deceptive. And so they put so much priority on the top because the bottom lane is such a high priority because, obviously there's 3 mercenaries down in that lane. Plus, it's also the lane where you've got the majority of your heroes as well most of the time. So when you do have the Siege Giants going down there, you can put much more pressure on the front. I kind of feel was a slight misplay of the map just in general. But you could have captured the Siege Giants in the bottom lane. There's only 2. It's very quick. And then rotated to get your Knight Camp.
Would it be a fair assessment to say that map control really was the single objective really in the side of Darksided, whereas Downfall were looking for those skirmishes, looking to try and get some picks with this wombo-centric style that they drafted themselves into a corner with, so to speak? I mean, from my observation, it was dragon after dragon, pressure after pressure. Yeah. We've seen in the past, right? If we date our mind back to a bit of traditional history in ANZ, along the lines of Nomia, they would get these small incremental leads. You might think, they've picked up a siege camp, they've picked up a wave of XP. But suddenly, this is incrementally grown. 1 level turns into 2. You get picked off 1 by 1. That's a 4v5 situation in defense. And you bring up big highlights. For instance, the Malfield, when the sanctification comes down, he's not in it. Instantly on the back foot, there's the reset and Hacky. I mean, Disco, he's not going to mess around when it comes to that.
Yeah, that's 100% true. They were losing big out on the team fights. So maybe it's looking at a combination of both, right? A little bit of misplay of the map and very weak team fights. But I mean, maybe would have been in a better situation going into a lot of those team fights had they kept, a better lead, or maybe even they could have been the first to reach some of those level markers.
Well, that does it for game number 3. Darksided, they are the team to beat right now, have not lost a single map in these qualifiers, really looking to stamp their authority on this open qualifier and say, we deserve to be in the Premier League, and we're going to prove to you on stream why. After the break, one more best of 1 to finish off the night. It's Team Celery hungry for a win, currently sitting at 0-3 at the standings as roles unspecified bring themselves into the mix as well. That's all to come after this 5-minute break. As always, get on social media, use Twitter, hashtag HGC ANZ, share your thoughts, your feelings, how you're going. And if Gamester retweet it, you will be famous on the stream. We'll see you in 5.